Hey, what's up, guys? Jalen here from Team Infinity doing pros and cons on Asgards. I'm sorry this episode feels like I'm rushing. I want to have a few things to do that I have to get around to, and also I did not know until like just recently that my recorder here does not record for more than 10 minutes, so I kind of have to cut this short sometimes a little bit. So I do apologize that this might be short and feel a little rushed, but I I got all my points down. I'm making sure that I got all my points down for this. But either way, let's get on to the pros and cons of Asgards. By the way, I didn't mention before, but this is going to cover both all previous, like occurring Asgard stuff we have now and stuff that's coming out. As you didn't already see with Magnagram, this, and this still right here, and we don't have any of these just of yet. This is coming Golden Buddy Pack. This is coming in Giga Future New Set 1, and I'm not sure about this one. I think so as well, but don't quote me on that. And a couple of other cards in here. But one thing I can immediately say about the deck, it has a decent damage out. It has great boss monsters. I'll get into the decent damage output later. But this just all four of these are the great boss monsters. This is that's 10,000 power. They all have great stats. 10, 6, 7, 10, 4, 10. This is Gale Khan stats and easier to call. And then 9, 3, 6, and then 8, 3, 7, and like great abilities. Like, I mean, this just makes it unable to be like stopped by Gleipnir, and then it just attacks for 6 when it comes out from Gleipnir, because you're probably not gonna pay that 5 gauge to call it. This is easier to call. I mean, it costs 4 gauge for its base calling, but if you discard from your hand, you pay 2 gauge. You don't pay the call cost when you call from a drop zone. So, really great there. This same thing like Fenrir, unaffected by Gleipnir, and then this has 3 critical and penetrate. Just a little bit less power and defense, and of course critical. And then this is a really, really slow but pretty good Death Grip. With Soul Guard and 8,000 power and these great 30 critical and 7,000 defense. Like, all these boss monsters are great. Not too hard to call, and really, really good rewards once they get on field. And the only one that can be even removed by, like, any counter move in the entire game is literally just him, because 6,000 defense, so Pillar of Fire. But every one of them get around, all the other ones get around Pillar of Fire. And then it's just a really good boss monster lineup. But since I already spoiled it a little earlier, I do have to say this deck has a pretty decent damage output. If you didn't know, I have all like everything just like in Asgards, and even like some support cards that aren't Asgards but they're in this template, just so you know, like they're for gauge issues the deck does have. So that's, since I already mentioned it, might as well say it now. The deck has a really bad gauge problem no matter what deck you're playing. In what version of the deck you're playing. But they have a pretty decent damage output. Two critical, 2 critical, 3 critical, 2. I mean, I'm not gonna count them, but like, I guess 2 critical, 2 critical, 1 critical, 1 critical, 1 critical, 0 critical. Like, oh my god. 2 critical, and like a couple other monsters down here. Loki, 0 critical, and yeah. So this deck has like varies from 0 to 6 when it comes to their criticals on their monsters, which and majority is 2. So honestly, I think the damage output is pretty decent, but this is hard to call the most. But this is easier to call, and then if you call it a 10, you have Ice Blade Jokers. Where the hell are you? Ice Blade Joker, then you have a pretty great damage like on board. So really great there. Another good pro about the deck, it has a really good impact. The impact right here, great spell finisher, heroic Fireblade, Leviathan. I don't know how to say it. I'm pretty sure it's Leviathan. But it costs 3 gauge, it pays 2 life, and then you destroy your opponent's monsters, and you deal 2 damage. Definitely worth. It's just such a great card. It's the same. Actually, it's the same cast cost as Ragnarok. Speaking of the devil, Ragnarok is right here. But both of them are the same, but this Ragnarok may have like its own better benefits, but at the same time its own problems. Like you discard your own hand well, but you also discard your opponents. You destroy everything on field and nullify every card's monster's abilities on the field. So the only things that actually live this are like Ragnarok are Durandal and Ritter, because they, no matter what, they can't be destroyed by your opponent's stuff. But I can definitely say a really bad Conda deck is poor nulls. I mean, this is always going to be Legend World's problem. They have Danger World problems, but Danger World fixed their problem in terms of some other things about having weak and really bad nulls. But like, you just got like this, like Holy Grail Power Mythology and White Dragon Shield clone. Oh, fucking awful. Or Super White Dragon Shield clone. Oh, God, I hate that. But this deck just has like problems out the ass with nullifiers. This is just a Battle Road Circle clone. Which is always decent, so at least they can't be linked and then like from an open center and then just get fucked. And then this is a really great thing because this may cost 2 gauge, like I said before, in my hero review, but it does, and it may cost 2 gauge, but it also can be nullified. Like even if you can also nullify an attack even if you have a center, so that's pretty good. But the one huge thing they have, like a huge thing because of their bad nulls, they don't have any monster protection. Like, look at this. This is all I can have. Like, the only way to protect a monster is wasting the spell nullifier, which I count as a pro, so I'm just gonna put that out there, pro. But the spell nullifier is the only way to stop your monster from being destroyed by counter removal, and that's if it's a spell. Some monsters do have counter removal effects, so you can't stop like your monsters being destroyed. There's no way to really protect them, which is, I think, is a really bad thing, because once you're very susceptible to counter removal, and then your place can start falling apart. Speaking of place falling apart, the Ragnarok Fimbulwinter play is so slow that I have to count it as its own con. And then even the Fimbulwinter itself is slow. Fimbulwinter costs practically 2 turns in order to get back what you just said. You set a random card, got 2 cards in soul, sent them to drop, and that doesn't really benefit your deck in any way. Unless you got a Fenrir, and then you can use Gleipnir afterward. But you're pretty much just dumping stuff in the drop zone just to get back the card you just got for using this. Like, it's a very slow 1-for-1, which I don't like. And then Ragnarok can be nullified if you don't have the Valkyrie right here, who doesn't allow great spells in their card name cards to be nullified. So, woohoo! But this card's just like nullifiable, so Star Crusher, Saka Fubuki, all those spell nullifier examples can stop this thing, and you wasted 3 gauge and 2 life. But I can say one really great thing about the deck: it has great toolboxing of cards like Horn of Demise, which allows you to get a Fimbulwinter. So it's another version of drawing a Fimbulwinter. If you're in 1st, 6th grade, you can add a Ragnarok, so woohoo. Then there's also like, just like I say, like Raise Velger getting you some draws. There's Valkyrie getting you some draws. Also helping out the deck, like just being an enabler and a decent burn effect. You got Fire Giant Surtur, who's also got pretty decent stats, 525. And then you've got this really great card right here, which allows you to set any spell from your drop zone onto the field by paying its cost, or you can use you can pay the equip cost for an item and equip it from the drop. So Rune Staff is a really great example, getting you more gauge. And then, like, this is great. This is their only monster removal, period. Like, paying 2 gauge and calling a monster. Like, this is practically just like Malice Force, but it's a size 2, but it's weaker and all those differences. And then really bad things about the but I can say, like I said before, like I mentioned their stats a little bit. There you have decent stats. They have great draw power with the Valkyrie, along with Raise Velger and Simbelgard. Like I said, their impact's pretty great. So it's a pretty decent deck all around. But like, I think one of the hardest things is maintaining the Ragnarok deck while you're being pressured. So it's really hard to keep up the Ragnarok deck while that's going on. So, but I can say and with no counter removal, they can't really protect anything. So I can say my final verdict on this deck is it's pretty good, but it's nothing really special, but I think my final verdict on the deck would definitely be that it's pretty good no matter what build you're making, but just be wary of Ragnarok's problems and also even the aggressive or whatever you want to call it, like non-Ragnarok deck's problems of gauge issues. They both will always have gauge issues, but the deck all around is pretty decent. Hope you guys like this video. So subscribe to Team Ring for more Buddyfight content. If you did enjoy this video, even with all the rushing, I still appreciate if you would leave a like. I do deeply apologize. I will definitely try and do longer videos for pros and cons without rushing, but I just had stuff to do and other variables that made this not one of my greatest works, but I hope you guys still enjoyed. Comment down below what you want to see in the next episode of Pros and Cons next week. And I'll see you guys later. Jalen from Team Infinity going out.